Hello everyone. I'm recording this video to just sum up whatever has been taught in the last classes, especially our discussion on Python. And with this video, I'm going to be wrapping up the chapter on Python, and with the display on my screen, you can follow it up. For any questions, you can revert to me over WhatsApp. Also, meet me in school for any clarification that you may have. So without too much talk, let's complete this chapter on Python and let's get to the screen. Yes, so we had done up to this particular portion in our previous class. Today we're going to be starting with what are control statements. What are control statements? There are three ways in which a program can be executed in Python. There are sequential, selection, iteration. Now we'll go with them one by one. What is a sequential program? In a program, the instructions are executed one after the other in order they are written. This is called a sequential program. The next one is selection program. In this form, depending upon the condition, a decision has to be taken. If the condition evaluates to true, certain steps are to be executed, and if the condition evaluates to be false, a different set of statements are to be executed. There are three types of decision making constructs, as they're also called in Python: if else, nested if. Now there are different options in which you can decide. So you can tell Python in the sequential thing, quite obvious, just like the previous one here. If we are asking the input, whatever the user enters, the sequences after this will come. It's called sequential. What will come after this? But in selection, what happens is, when you take an end, when you make a execution of a program and the answer comes in true or false, we have to see if this what will the Python do if the answer is true, and what will Python do if the answer is false. So in this manner we can make the following steps. So depending upon what kind of process you have to find out whether it is sequential or selection. Now we'll find out about all of these three, 1, 2 and 3 in examples one by one. And here once again I'll use this video here, and you see whatever comes in this video is given here. In here, if you see, the syntax is given. If in these two symbols, conditions are given and statements is given. Program x is equals to 10. If x is greater than 0, print x is a positive number. Okay, so what will happen is, first the computer will find out if x is greater than 0, true or false, and if it is true, then the computer will show the answer is x is a positive number. If it is false, it will not show the answer. Now let's go through the video once again.
If statement. The simplest statement tests a condition, and if it is true, performs some steps, otherwise it does nothing. Write a program as shown here. This will check the value of x, and since x is greater than 0, it will print the message, x is a positive number. If the value of x has been -10, then it will not print anything.
So in here, if you pay attention to this particular video, and here, because we have written x is equals to 10, and because x is greater than 0, that is why the Python will only give you the answer is x is a positive number. But if x is not greater than 10 or it is a negative number, there will be no command coming here. Okay, Now let us try something else here. If it says x is greater than 0, but what is less than 0 is all negative numbers, as it was shown in that video also. So what happens is, whenever you type a number, what depends upon what number you give here, Python will give you the answer accordingly. While we are doing it, let us keep in mind indentation is very important in Python. The statement after if should be indented by 4 spaces, which happens automatically in ideally. Once again, I'll show you this video. Just give me a moment.
If statement. The simplest statement tests a condition, and if it is true, performs some steps, otherwise it does nothing. Write a program.
Now please pay attention. Here if you see, all the letters are sticking to the left side, but when I came to print, there is a space of 4 spaces left here. This is very important in programming language, but if you are doing the programming in ideally, it automatically does. If from here, if you press enter, the print will start from here only. You don't have to do anything else. So this is called indentation, and it is required when we are doing programming with if function. Just give me a moment. I'll just go out of this. Okay, so that was the if function. Now we'll check out another. Example with the if function. You see here it says in program 4, you see it says if a is equals to 61 and b is equals to 91, if a is greater than b, then please print a is lesser than b, then print a is lesser than b. Now if we check out once again in this video, just give me a moment.
Program 4. You can type the program in the Python IDE by clicking on File, then click on New File, and then save the file. Write a program as shown here. Now, run it by pressing the F5 key, or by clicking on the Run tab, and then clicking on the Run module. You can see the result as shown here.
Now, here I'll just show you a small variation. Computer is saying that let us run this program. I'll just open ideally here. Apologies, my computer is very slow. And here I'll go to the file menu, new file. I'll save it as if statement. I'll save it in a particular drive. Let me just check my drive. G drive, school, class 7, and I'll write if statement. And because if you pay attention here, I don't have to save it as .py, because it's saying that save type as Python files. So I'll just save it as here. And you see if statement title has come up here on my screen. And here if I type that code, if a equals to, let's say 10, b equals to, let's say 25, and what is the code that we are looking at is if a is less than b. So if a is less than b, just give me a moment, I'll type if a is less than b. See, the moment I press the enter button here, my cursor has come here rather than starting from here. Just give me a moment, I'll try and options, window, options, zoom height. Just give me a moment, I'll start a magnifier here. So here I'll write print, and the code that I'm looking at is print A is lesser than B. Now remember, I am telling Python, just give me, I'll remove this, print A is now please pay attention, because A is lesser than B, and if I save this file here and I run this module, now see my Python window is showing A is lesser than B. But what happens if I change these numbers? What happens if I make A into 35? What happens if I change the message into A into 35? If I save this and I run, and by the way, for running you can also use the F5 button on your keyboard. You see the Python will not display anything. Why? Because it will only display A is lesser than B if actually A is lesser than B. In this case, if you pay attention, A is not lesser than B, A is greater than B. Fine. So depending upon whatever is your condition here, the if statement will give you a print on your screen. Okay. Now once again I will leave it. If I increase it to let's say 555 whatever, and I save the button and I save it, and if I press F5, and you see my computer is displaying A is lesser than B again. Now once again, another thing that I want to point out, whatever you type in between these, when you say print, when you give the print option, and whatever you type here will come on your screen. This is not a particular string or code. It is not a code. This is whatever you want. Suppose I will say if A is greater than B, then I can type A is the Raja. Then I'll save it and I'll run the F5 window, and you see A is the Raja has come. Got it? So depending upon what you want to be done, you can type it in the py statement. Chalo, I'll come back to the book. I hope you people have understood. And next one that we are looking at, this is basically this extension of this. Now we look at this if statement.
If else statement. This is similar to the if statement. In this case, when the condition tests to false, the statements after the else are executed. Write the commands as shown here. This will compare the values of A and B, and since B is greater than A, it will skip the statement after the if statement and go to the statement after else and display B is greater than A.
So I think this is very simple to understand. In our previous program, where we were only looking at the condition if it was true with A being the greater number, A being the lesser number with B. But what happens if B is lesser than A? Then what will come? In the if statement, there was no option available for that situation. But if you do if else, what happens is both the statements will appear. Just give me a moment. I'll go back, and here I will type if else. Here if you see, I've typed that A is 35, B is 55. If A is less than B, then print A is the Montri. Else print A is the Raja. So either depending upon this situation or that situation, you can just type this, and if I run this module, what comes on my screen? Yes, see, A is the Montri has come. Why has A is the Montri come? Because in this condition, A is this particular statement is correct. That is why this has come on the screen. A is less than B. Coming back to our book, so in the last option that we are looking at is if elif, the last one, that is nested if.
If else if statement. In this statement, if the first condition after if is false, then it will check the condition after else if. Write the commands as shown here. Since the first condition is false, then the second condition will be tested. The number is less than 0, so the message after else if will be displayed.
Yes. So what happens in this condition also called if else if? In this particular condition, in the previous two conditions, what we have seen is there were two statements which we are comparing with. A equals to 13, B equals to 56. In this one also, if you pay attention, here it was A equals to 61 and B equals to 91. So here there were two conditions that we are comparing. Either this can be greater or this can be greater. But if you pay attention to the first program that we wrote, that is program number 3, here there was only one statement, x is equals to 10, and the computer was asked if print x is positive number only if x is greater than 0. But what happens if x is less than 0? That was not covered in this if statement. For that we will use the if else if statement. Here what we will do is we will just give one statement. Please pay attention here. If you say program number 6, x is given as 10 minus 10, and we have told computer if x is greater than 10, print x is a positive number. ELIF, else if, short form, x is if else if x is greater than 0, less than 0, then print x is a negative number. So the same example was shown to you in that video. I'll show it to you once again.
If else if statement. In this statement, if the first condition after if is false, then it will check the condition after else if. Write the commands as shown here. Since
now please pay attention, here we have written the commands on our screen, and you see here x is given as minus 10, and we are asking Python that if x is greater than 0, then write x is positive number. Of course, anything that is this side of the 0 is positive number, that side of the 0 is negative number. So what we have written is if x is 0, then print x is a positive number. If else this x is less than 0, then print x is a positive number. Let us try this out in our Python window also. Here if you pay attention, I'll just type a number, x is equals to 55. Okay, and I type if x is greater than 0, print x is in positive, positive. Okay, and yes, so I'm typing it here. In the first condition I've written x here. If you see, I've written x is equal to 55. We are asking Python if x is greater than 0, print x is a positive number, and I press enter. But please attention, it is come as an indentation, so we'll put it back here. We will type the command ELIF print ELIF x is lesser than 0, then print print bracket open bracket close, inside inverted comma open inverted comma close, inside x is a minus. The reason why I'm writing minus here and positive here, why? Because I'm trying to show that whatever you type inside these brackets will come up on your screen. Now if I just save this file, remember, because this is on the same page, this will also appear, this will also appear. So what I'll do is I'll just remove this to avoid confusion. And I'll save the file, control S F5, and see, it says x is a positive number. Why does it say x is a positive number? Because I have said x is 58. But what if I make it into a negative number? I'll control S and then I press F5, and you see it is as x is a minus. X is a minus. Depending upon when you change the statement here in the ideally window, next time you run the module, it will change here also. Okay, coming back to your book, everyone.
The first condition is false.
Coming to your page number 86. So this is what we have done a little while ago. We can use the else after the ELIF statement 2 to have a third option. Now here you will see we are putting multiple layers of options. Now in this program you will see first x is given as minus 10. So what first, in the first line we have given if, in the second line we have given elif, and in the third line we have given else. So just give me a moment. Here if you see, the same thing will be shown.
Write a program to find if a number is positive or negative. We can use the else after the else if statement 2 to have a third option as showing here. Write the commands as shown here. Since both conditions are false, it implies that x equal to 0.
Okay, so coming back to our discussion here, you see here what we have done is we have given a third level of command. In the third level command, please pay attention here, we have told the computer that if x is equals to 0, I'll just play the video once again, and there I'll pause it because that is bigger, it seems.
Write a program to find if a number is positive or negative. We can use the else after the else if statement 2 to have a third option as showing here. Write the commands as shown here.
Now please pay attention here. If you say we have written x is equals to 0. Now the commands that we are giving is if x is greater than 0, print it as a positive number. If if x is lesser than 0, print it as a negative number. Else print x is 0. Else, depending upon if, elif and else. So it can be only either of the three operations. It can be either positive or negative or 0. In this case, you see, because the number is 0, the module will show x is 0.
Since both conditions are false, it implies that x equal to 0.
Yes, that implies that when we are running a program, or when we are preparing a program, we can put multiple layers of programming one below the other. Coming back to our book, what is a loop? Now let us come to page number 86. What is a loop? A loop statement allows us to execute a statement or a group of statements multiple times. There are two types of loops in Python: a while loop, for loop. Now how to go about it? Let's come to this particular the loop. Of course, that is available in class 8. When you go to class 8, the loop chapter is available. You will study them in the higher classes. Comments. A comment in Python starts with a hash. All characters after the hashtag and up to the end of the line are part of the comment. These are non-executable statements and are ignored by the comment Python interpreter. They are used for documentation purposes for the programmer and user. When you are typing a command, you are typing a file. Remember, we can share that file with somebody else. But when we share the file and we want the person to read our comments rather than just execute them. So when you start something with a hashtag command, what happens is Python, when you run the module, it will ignore that particular line. Okay, it is just for us to read and understand it better. We'll see the video once again and see how it works.
Comments. A comment in Python starts with a hash sign. All characters after the hash and up to the end of the line are part of the comment. These are non-executable statements and are ignored by the Python interpreter. They are used for documentation purpose of the programmers and users. Write the codes as shown here. When this code is executed, it will produce the result as shown here.
Yes, so basically a comment is added while you are doing when you are coding. If you start something with a hash command, that means that will be ignored by the Python, but that is for everybody to read and understand why are you typing the following comments or explanation of the previous comments. Few solved examples. Let us see here there are some examples given, and we'll watch the video one by one.
Write a program to input and print your name.
This is very simple.
Write the codes as shown here.
Now, if you pay attention here, when we were doing the input function, remember the name was being typed here. Here you see in this particular command, the name has been typed here on the second line. So if you pay attention, while we were coding also, the input command was given for the second line. I'll just show it to you. Wait here.
Your name. Write the codes as shown here.
Now if you pay attention, in the first line we have told Python to print enter your name. In the second line we have given as x is equals to input. This is the input function, remember, input with bracket open bracket close, and once this input is done, print hello. So in this line Python will type enter your name. In this line the Python will wait for you to type give your name, and once you have given the name and you press enter, Python will print hello x. X is whatever you have typed here. Okay, so whatever name you type here will appear here. So that was the input function. Next example that we are looking at is
write a program in Python to multiply two numbers. Write the codes as shown here.
yes, this is also another very simple. If you understand the code very easily, you can execute these commands. Please pay attention.
Write the codes as shown here.
Now in the first line you see the Python is asking you enter any two numbers will come on the screen. In the second line, number 1 is equals to input. This is again is asking for an input from the user and input from the user, but this is number 1 and number 2. You have to remember these number 1 and number 2. Now ch. Now here again in the third line you see the input is being asked by the user. Enter operator. What do you want? You want to do multiply or you want to divide? Now if the ch is equals to multiply, then result should be input 1, that is number 1, multiplied by number 2, and print equals to this multiplied by this equals to this, and res is this one. So this is basically the coding of what you are doing, what you are going to do on top. Here you see we have entered two numbers. First the Python said enter any two numbers, then we enter 5 and 4, and the moment we press enter, this option appears in front of us, enter operator. Now here in the inverted comma it says this, that means multiply. So I do multiply, and the moment I do that, the answer comes as 5 multiplied by 4 is equals to answer. Okay, so this is what appears on your screen.
Write a program in Python to check whether the alphabet is a vowel or not. Write the codes as shown here.
Now if you pay attention, in the first line we have told Python enter 0 to exit, okay, and enter O to exit, fine, and letter input, enter any letter. So in the first line, what will come on my screen is enter O to exit. In the second line we have told letter equals to input, and here enter any letter will come. Then if letter A or letter A, small letter or capital letter, or letter E or letter E, and so on and so forth, all the vowels have been entered. If all of these are entered, print letter is a vowel, else print letter is not a vowel. Okay, now if the letter is any one of them, then you will say letter is a vowel, okay, LTR is a vowel, and if it is not any one of them, please enter letter is not a vowel. Now you have already here, if you pay attention, we have written a longish code, but the pattern of the code is the same. The pattern of the code is same. Here LETR equals to input and enter any letter. And if letter A, small letter, or letter B, remember we had discussed that in Python characters small letter and capital letters are different. They are not the same. So you have to mention both, because the user may type the answer in small letters or capital letters.
Write a program in Python to check whether the alphabet is a vowel.
Okay, with that we come to the end of this chapter, and what we are going to do is in next class we are going to be doing all these operations that we have done in our computer lab. So we'll be going to the computer lab and trying them out ourselves. So don't try to miss the class, and we'll discuss the question answers in the class also. So with that we come to the end of today's class, and I would want everybody to watch the video and try and understand it, and we can discuss the matters in the next class. With that small message, this is Alok sir saying bye bye.
And that's the end.